Welcome to the quarantine station, Sydney. My name's Jill, I'm one of the guides here, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to take you around this amazing site today. It's a place of isolation and quarantine, situated on the very edge of Sydney Harbour, 10 kilometres from the colony itself, but also the important, significant ancestral lands of the Guyamargal people. It's an amazing place, and it helps us focus our minds in these days of self-isolation and distancing. It's good to remember that 100 years ago, this all happened before. By 1832, the colony of Sydney was fearful of the spread of disease from overseas. Diseases such as cholera, typhus fever, typhoid, deadly diseases. So an Act of Parliament was made, an Act of Quarantine, which gave the colony the power to forcibly quarantine ships who had come from infected ports. By 1833, this place was designated as quarantine station, and it ran continuously until 1984 for that purpose. During that time, in excess of 580 vessels would come through here, be quarantined, which of course meant thousands of passengers and crew would come through here to go through a quarantine procedure. Sadly, 572 of those people remain here today in one of the 3 burial grounds that we have on site. Testament to their experiences here, and as a primary source of history for us, we have an amazing array of inscriptions on site created by these people who tell us the stories of the past. Let's go and have a look at some of those now. It has long been a tradition to inscribe memorials in the soft sandstone of the Sydney Basin. And as you can see here, we have nearly 1,600 memorials on site of people who wanted to express their feelings about being quarantined here. They show the fear and trauma of the experiences of those people and are an important primary source of history for us. We can read the stories of people who are actually here. Many of these memorials took the form of poems, initials, inscriptions about the number of passengers on board the ships, the length of journeys, the date of their arrival. So the information they give us hold the key to the history of this site. RMS Niagara arrived here in October 1918. She was the first ship quarantined in Australia with Spanish flu. She'd had an amazing journey from Vancouver via Honolulu, Fiji, Auckland, and then eventually to Sydney. By the time she got to Auckland, many of the passengers on board were very sick. She was quarantined in Auckland for a few days, but during that time, it's thought that Spanish influenza first appeared on board the ship. When she left Auckland, many people continued to get sick with Spanish flu, and by the time she arrived in Australia, she went straight into quarantine. There's a second inscription for the Niagara in the shape of a shield, a more common and traditional symbol on site. It recognises 2 people on board that ship in particular. The first was Sister Hargreave, a nurse on board the ship who nursed the patients from the Auckland to Sydney leg of their journey. At any one time, there were up to 100 patients being treated. So many, in fact, that she also recruited the help of a Mr. Jeffries, who happened to be travelling on board and was a medical student. He rendered such good assistance that all the passengers on board sent a letter of thanks for all the help they had rendered them. She was also commended by the shipping line for the services that she gave. Of course, the Niagara is not the only vessel to have left its imprint on our site. We have many different inscriptions in different languages and from different periods of history, all around the site. And this one up here in particular, written in traditional Chinese, gives a very moving account of how someone would have been feeling during their quarantine. Fearful of contagion, hand-tied, doctors powerless to find a magic remedy, a burst of grief so unbearable that it is inexpressible. My friends, this is not a place of pleasure.